Meanwhile, the wrestling promotion that's owned by the son of the Jacksonville Jaguars owner kind of shit the bed last night on a pay-per-view. I got to spend $50 to laugh at those people. But we had some good pizza.
You could have gotten nice wireless headphones for $50.
I could have gotten nice wireless because I don't have enough crap around here. But yes, I wasted $50 putting it in a wrestler's pocket. Here we go. Sharing now, because sharing is, of course, caring. But on a very personal note, I have to say, out of character, I don't like Meghan and Harry. I just don't, and I don't like all the attention and all that stuff.
I'm 100% with you, but I am telling you,
yes,
when you see it, you go.
You'll be sympathetic to them.
You absolutely will. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep that open. I'll keep that open mind. I will.
You know,
this PR blitz that they.
But they weren't getting paid for. They're not none of that shit.
But this PR blitz that they've started and the sit down with James Corden and all that stuff is kind of, I don't know. But I'll watch it.
The fact that royalty exists in Britain is kind of a problem.
And now to see royalty, I suppose what we're going to do now on Fox News is we're going to defend the royal family. I guess that's what has to be done now, right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
that would be to me the funniest thing to come out of this thing, is if all of a sudden we're pro royal family on Fox News. They're being attacked unfairly. I'd like to see that somehow, some way. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be a dream scenario for you?
Well, I almost screwed up.
But you didn't, because you're the man.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Not it. Don't work. Yeah. All right.
Ready when you are, man.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just check it. Did I hear LeBron waffle on getting the shot? Did I fucking hear him do that?
I don't know about that.
I believe he said, "I'm not going to say whether I got one or not." What
Oh,
the fuck
okay.
is that?
That's nice. That's helpful. Thank
What
you,
the-
sir.
After all that, after everything, you have to check that before we say it. But I'm pretty sure.
Is this the right amount of echo, or is that too much?
Just talk again.
Hang on, 1, 2. Is there any echo there?
Yeah, there it is.
What about now? Is that too much, or is that enough, or is that too little?
Just a teeny bit more.
Tad more. All right. That's good right there. Okay. I'll remember exactly where that was.
Now that's too much. It doesn't.
Okay.
Are you unable to shade it much? I mean,
I can shade it. I can control it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have the state of the art.
Oh no. We got the best. We got the best. How's that doing? Is that that's good? Right there. Okay, right there. That's where we need to be then.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. It is the Brad and Britt cast, our first one for this week. We're so glad you are with us here. We're live on Facebook and YouTube and all kinds of other outlets, so we don't even know. Everybody carries us.
It's everywhere. Shortwave radio, for God's sakes, we're everywhere.
Yeah, it's just it's just incredible. Anyway, we are very, very lucky early this week to have visiting with us from his home in hell, where it is a cool 42,000 degrees today. The average high this time of year is 45,000 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, Little Rush from hell. Little Rush.
Hey, delighted to be. Aren't you supposed to have some music? Where's the production value, Snurdly?
I completely forgot it.
You fell down on the job. It's a Monday, and it's fantastic to be with you here in hell. It is Little Rush. Delighted to be with you for another day of broadcast excellence with half my ass tied behind my back to make it fair for the libs. Delighted to be with you. How are you, sir?
Wow, you've changed your opening. It's half your ass tied behind.
Yeah, even Satan got tired of my shit. It was amazing. I had to change it up and do some new things. Delighted to be with you again, once again here in hell.
Yeah. Did you watch Little Rush, the big interview on Sunday night on CBS?
Yeah, it was again. It was Oprah, and I was just flipping through the channels in hell. As it turns out, CBS gets a prominent place in hell. I don't know if you knew that or not, folks. I saw the aggrievement interview with Oprah. It was Harry and Meghan once again bringing up their agenda. And if you missed this, folks, what happened was that poor Meghan was asked about the skin color gradation of her baby by someone in the royal family, and she wouldn't say who.
Right. Well, Harry actually was the one that said, we're not going to say who it is, but that's kind of an outrageous thing to do. I mean, just imagine the poor girl is going to deliver a child, a grandchild, a great grandchild for if it's the old man, the guy that's 99 and about to kick off. What's his name? Prince Elizabeth.
Prince Rainier. I can't remember what the
Prince Rainier.
Nobody gives a shit.
He was married to Grace Kelly. He's dead.
Nobody gives a shit about that guy. He's been over there in the corner, and Prince Rainier's over there just hanging out. Let me ask you this, folks. What if they were just simply asking about the shade of the child, so that they could buy it some proper clothing that would fit its skin color gradation? What if that was the case? We do this all the time. Yeah. Women go through this all the time, where they have to wear the proper clothing during a certain time of year, and it fits their complexion. What if somebody with the royal family staff just said, "Hey, I just got to figure out how dark this kid is so we can get him a correct onesie or she or whatever the hell it is." What if that was the case, folks?
That's a very sympathetic view over what most people believe is a very, very racist
Yes.
question for someone. I mean, it just seems completely out of control. And the royal family, of course, has been lily white for, I guess, what have they been around, 1,400 years or something like that?
Well, yes.
But we live in the 21st century, and intermarriage is not a thing, and it's just there. Everybody, no make big deal. It's not.
Listen. I know that some people will find it ironic for me sticking up for the royal family, as someone who has supposedly loved the United States, is happy we broke out free from the tyranny. Don't need to point out the irony because I'm aware of it. But now, what I'm doing here, and you have to look, and this is very subtle. Even my brain waves are working at full capacity, even here in hell. Is I'm defending white people who interbreed. So now I have to do it. It's part of it because I did it for years when I was there on Earth. So I have to do it now in hell, and nobody interbreeds more than those folks, right? Nobody bangs each other more than the royal family. So I have to defend them. And here, Harry is stepping outside of the royal family, and we have it's not even. Pardon me for being politically incorrect, but I can do that here in hell. She's not even a real black person. She's a Canadian black person, folks. She hasn't even, so I don't even see how she counts as being personally aggrieved by skin color gradations.
No, that has nothing to do with what.
She's a Canadian black person.
She's an American citizen. She's an American citizen. She went to school in the United States. She went to Northwestern University. What are you doing here?
Well, she's like, I think she's Canadian. I think she's like, we got to check that, sir. Remember, again, you have to follow my fantastic brain waves here. Remember, during the Obama administration, there were a lot of folks on Fox News, which used to be my favorite network until they went so hard left. They would say that, Barack Hussein Obama, he's not a real black person because he grew up in Hawaii. He didn't have to go through all the stuff the black people here in America did, folks. Remember all that good stuff that they used to have on Fox News? Because they care about the black folks.
But he had a white mother and a black father. Meghan had a black father, a black mother and a white father. That's what it was.
Yeah. They can't even. It ties in beautifully with what I was watching last night. I was flipping through the channels because I always say that to start the story because I can't say I was just watching the show. But I was watching the NBA All-Star game, as I am wont to do. And you had
I thought you hated the NBA. I thought you hated them.
Well, I was hate watching.
You hated that league.
We do a lot of that. I was just flipping through the channels, you folks. I was getting to a Hallmark movie that, what was my last wife's name? I can't even remember because that was an excuse for a lot of shit. I would just be flipping
the one that's still living in your house or the one before?
Yeah, the one that's 44 years old and I made rich as shit. She's going to be out banging the Cabana Boy before sundown. That one, whichever one she.
That's
I can't remember her name.
That's Catherine.
Catherine, yeah, they're her. So I was flipping through and I looked at the NBA All-Star game and all the aggrieved black people who are multi-millionaires, right? And they cannot accept the greatness of America and stand for our national anthem because they're so aggrieved. And here we have Meghan and Harry who cannot appreciate the greatness and all that they've been afforded by being a part of the royal family. And now they've got to bitch about this to Oprah, who is more than happy to do that. Yes.
So the way I'm hearing you talk about this, they had it made. They were never going to have to work.
Yes.
Sit there and enjoy the fruits of being born into royalty, Harry, and then you marry into it, and then life is just. Did you see that shit? Do you understand what the problems may be in trying to integrate yourself into that family? Do you understand anything about this, or is it just about the fact that they had money and position, and therefore Harry and Meghan are ungrateful louts who should be cast aside and never spoken of again?
What is to integrate? All you have to do is sit there, watch the money roll in. It's like being on the Democrat plantation, which is currently presided over by Massa Biden. So I don't understand why they would want to break free of this plantation that they had of the inbred white folks, and they can't be grateful. And here is ungrateful Oprah, who has been afforded great opportunities by this country as well. And then she gets to to bitch. Oh, it's so sad. They wanted to find out if, the baby was light-skinned, if the baby was Halle Berry or the baby was Alfred Woodard. Yeah, that's what's going on, folks. That's what's happening.
Little Rush. I hate to cause trouble, but you sound a tad jealous of the position that Oprah Winfrey holds in this country in broadcasting that you will never be able to hold, that you will never be held in the same kind of esteem by America that Oprah Winfrey is.
So
I'm saying.
When Oprah dies, we're not going to have two jagoffs like you putting me in hell and making fun of me. You think that's
Probably
part of the thing here?
No.
You think that's part of the calculus that I've done on this?
Right. I don't think Sean Hannity is going to do a bit where he has somebody doing Oprah's voice from hell after she dies. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think
that's
so.
Probably not going to happen because she's such a. And I give a shit. And I've got people that are still on those iHeart radio stations across America, folks, who you've never heard of. You don't know who these jagoffs are, but they're talking about what a great guy I am. Now, Oprah's not going to have that. Oprah won't be having that when she dies. She won't be having
on the iHeart conservative radio stations. You're correct.
She won't be having them on those stations from noon to 3 with some dickwad, some 35-year-old dickwad in Dubuque talking about how I gave money to help cure prostate cancer or something like that. She won't have that, will she?
Yeah.
Look at how beloved. By the way, it's International Women's Day, folks. So here on the Little Russian Hell Show, we want to pay tribute to all of the vaginal. Yes.
Did you relabel that as International Feminazi Day? Is
International Feminazi Day, folks. You can pay, and you know how this is going to work. We're going to pay attention to all of the greats like RBG, but all the really important people who have done the great work for conservatives like Sarah Palin. They will not get their due because we have to wallow. It's International Liberal Women's Day. That's what it is, folks. Let's call it for what it is.
So you don't think that Phyllis Schlafly
that's right.
Well, they just did a big movie about her.
Margaret Thatcher, and you won't get any of that. Any of that stuff. They won't do any of that.
A lot of conservative women get their due. Anita Bryant. There's a great.
Yes, exactly. Where is the Anita Bryant tribute today on International Women's Day? You won't see that, folks. You won't be. You won't be seeing Candace Owens. She won't be being paid tribute to today. Because it's only the vaginal Americans and the vaginal folks that matter, that are palatable and politically correct.
Marsha Blackburn, that one from Tennessee, she's a winner.
Absolutely, she's fantastic. Marjorie Taylor Greene, pilloried and beaten from pillar to post, will not get her due on International Women's Day, folks. Ann Coulter will not get, Ann Coulter may or may not be a woman. Stand by for that. So I'm not really sure if that qualifies. I apologize for bringing that up. Now in year 17 of her transition, I'm not sure from what to what, but it's going on. I know it sounds mean, but I'm in hell, and she's going to be here with me. So still, don't worry. It's all right. Yeah. All right, I have to go now. I got to go get sodomized by somebody because we do that a lot in hell. For some reason, there's a lot of involuntary sex here in hell. So it's a lot like Harvey Weinstein's office, only, nonstop.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, and we bid you good day.
All right. See you later.
Man.
Okay.
I get it. Did you see that clip that I posted on our Facebook? There it is.
Yeah, sorry.
Better late than never, you dick. Oh,
sorry.
Did you see that clip that I posted? It's several days old, but I'm still going to mention it because I think it's the funniest thing.
Which one?
The Chuck Schumer thing where he gets closure on Merrick Garland and Marcia Fudge.
I did say that. Where's the coverage on that story? That's a big deal. Would you explain this?
I'm happy.
This is such a big deal.
It's so funny because the Republicans spent all day Friday, well into the wee hours of Saturday, trying to cockblock the COVID relief package, right? And they did just the most awful shit, right? They were.
But
It was
they knew they weren't going to be able to do it, and they
right.
wasted the time and energy of all the aides for 12 hours reading the.
They tack all the shit on there like fetuses, and just so they can score points and say they can raise money by the Democrats want the babies to die because they voted against this amendment, which had nothing to do with it, and the Democrats are trying to get checks out to people who are hurting from COVID-19. So the Republicans are really tired from a whole day of trying to fuck over the American people. In the wee hours of the morning on Saturday morning, they just stumble out of the Senate chamber and go take a nap and go home, right? Mm-hmm. Chuck Schumer looks around and goes, we haven't gavelled. We're still in session. Let me look. And he may have been the only guy. It was him and Hickenlooper, I think, was the guy who was presiding, right? So Chuck goes, pretty sure we got 2/3. We can go ahead and invoke cloture and just stop debate on the nomination of Merrick Garland and Marcia Fudge. She's going to be the head of HUD, I think. So let's just go ahead and get that done. We've got a 2/3, and they vote on it. I think he's the only one in the chamber. There's no nays. In cloture, they can't debate. They can't filibuster. Merrick Garland is going to go for a full vote in front of the Senate without any of the bullshit that the Republicans could pull. Because they weren't paying attention. I think it's so good. I think it's so funny that he was able to do that and caught them asleep at the wheel.
Well, my take is since at least 20 of the Republican delegation is over the age of 90, no wonder they couldn't stay up that long.
It's so true.
Right?
Which always brings me back to that great story from the Anita Hill Clarence Thomas hearing. And you know where I'm going with this, right? Because I think the guy that was in charge of the Senate Judiciary Committee at that time was J. Strom Thurmond from South Carolina. I think that's correct. And they're going, if you remember, this has been almost 30 years ago, right? It's been 29 or 28, or it's been like many, many years ago. And they're going well into the night. And so they have to call out and get some pizza delivered for the guys on the Judiciary Committee. Well, if you feed an old man pizza like that, he's going to belch. He's going to belch his guts out. And it came across on the microphone as they're talking. Yes, Clarence Thomas, you idiot. And what you were saying, Judge Thomas. And he's belching up a storm.
Is that up on YouTube somewhere?
I don't know if they've got that or not. I don't know, but it was one of the funnier things. You can audibly hear the guy, and that's where I got the Strom Thurmond thing about talking into the machine, because that's what he called the microphone during that particular hearing. He was telling people, and he's belching very loudly at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, because you just can't feed old guys pizza like that and just hope everything's going to turn out well. It just doesn't happen like that. Oh.
Right.
So I love that clip. I love that Chuck Schumer did that, and Merrick Garland was still going to pass. They're just not going to be able to pull their bullshit and their filibustering ways with all of that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. I just want to call out everybody in politics. Just stop pretending that the United States Congress has anything to do with the word unity anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's non-existent. And the proof of this clearly is that when in the last few days, a piece of legislation, landmark legislation, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, which 91% of it has nothing to do with COVID, unless you think that saving schools, saving businesses, and saving people's livelihoods so that they don't die and become poor wards of the state has anything to do with the fact that the reason they're in that position is because of COVID. If you want to keep playing that card, go ahead, keep saying that, but we know that's not true. The fact that at this moment, not one Republican crossed over and voted with the Democrats is proof that the idea of political unity in Washington is dead, and so be it. And if the Republicans take back over the Senate and or the House in 2 years, it will go back the other way. and I wouldn't expect anything to change. But the fact that not one of them, and that they know that just about everything in that piece of legislation is needed for the country. And no, we didn't just suddenly recover last week because 376,000 new jobs were added and everything's working. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a lag time. We're still 9 million jobs down from where we were.
Big time, yeah.
More than a year ago.
Yeah.
And at the rate of 376,000 jobs per month, that would take many years to get back to even. Now, maybe it will accelerate anyway. But this is just like the mask fight, which shouldn't be a fight, right? It shouldn't have to be argued that you should be wearing a mask whenever you can.
Yeah, but it turned into politics. No, you're right about this. And the Republicans had no votes on something that was approved of and got favorable ratings from like 70+% of Americans.
That's right. So there's unity in the country, but not there. And that all goes back to gerrymandering, voter suppression, fealty to Donald Trump for all the reasons that we know, which is that they're afraid of the stupid voters who will do whatever Trump says. And they expressed it at this moment. And if their argument is it's a Democratic wish list, it has nothing to do with it. They've been waiting for this forever. No.
If the Democratic wish list is to keep people from getting kicked out of their houses, I'll take it. Yes, you're right. That's a Democratic wish.
If the Democratic wish list is to keep millions of children out of poverty by expanding the child tax credit,
guilty.
Damn it, the Democrats are going to have to wear that one.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to wear that. So, is it a perfect piece of? No, there's no such thing as a perfect piece of legislation.
No, it's stupid.
It's pretty damn good, and it only takes about 5 minutes after you're done to think, yeah, all the shit with Joe Manchin and the rest. Okay, that was annoying, but you know what? In the end, guess what? He voted thumbs up, and that's all that mattered. He did, and I do get the fact that he is a Democratic senator from the most fucked up Republican state these days.
That's right.
So he has to fake it.
So the alternative would be to have another Josh Hawley clone in West Virginia fucking things up, right?
Right. In fact, now that you think about it, you better hope that Joe Manchin, I don't know when he's up for re-election. It's not this time. It's probably 20. You better hope that he runs again. Okay.
Yeah, you do.
There won't be another guy like that in West Virginia. That would be a loss. But it's a good piece of legislation. It does do a lot of things that a lot of us have been talking about for a long time. And Mitch McConnell is a horrible human being.
God, is he?
He is treating Joe Biden just as he treated Barack Obama.
Showing that he's not just a racist, he's also just an asshole. Outside of the racism, he can just be a straight dick.
No, he's an EOA. He's an equal opportunity asshole.
Yes.
It doesn't matter your race. He will be an asshole to you. So do not be concerned about that. So on we go. And
do you really think that if people would have been happy if they're like, man, I'm getting kicked out of my house, my kids are gonna be out of their apartment, and we can't get kids back in school, but geez, I'm just so happy that we're unified in the United States Senate. Do you think that's a conversation that would have been taking place across America? I don't care what happens to me personally, as long as somebody, and I saw it in the New York Times, but a lot of other places were doing it too. Oh my God, bipartisanship is dead. No, it's not. This is one bill. They wouldn't come to the table on this on something that the majority, you can't get 70% of Americans to agree that we need to breathe air. People were on board with this. Even hardcore Republicans wanted this relief package to pass. Jeez, it's unbelievable.
When the first one passed a year ago in March, and of course, remember, it took about a 10,000 point drop in the stock market to get their attention. in the Congress. That's what did that then. I'm convinced of that. Okay. That's what got Republicans' attention, and I got a lot of Democratic support for a big spending bill, of course. So the argument, when we were in charge, we got a bipartisan rescue bill passed. But now that well, guess why? Because it fucking made sense then. And guess what? It made sense now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the difference is now there's a Democratic president. So Republicans, none of them will vote with the Democrats. So,
but remember what they did to the American Recovery Plan, or the ARRA, the American Recovery and Restoration Act, is they tried to strip it as much as they possibly could. That's why it got some Republican votes back in 2009. It's because they stripped the fuck. They and Obama went through.
Now you're going back to that one. I'm going back to the one last year with Trump.
Oh yeah, the one. Okay. Yeah, the one last year. But yeah, that's right. You had a Republican president whose ass you continue to kiss, even though he's out of office and he tried to kill you. So I don't understand completely why you still continue to kiss this guy's ass. Of course.
By the way, you just brought up something that if there's any hint of truth to it, it's the most horrible thing I can think of. If you voted no and you're a Republican senator or a Republican member of the House, and you've been voting against this legislation that just passed because you think that the Trump base doesn't want it and it's good politics, I don't know where you go from there.
Yeah.
Because I know we don't run America by polling, but when you get into the 70% range of anything, that means that you have, 80 or 90% Democrats and you have about 60% Republican support. There's no argument there,
right?
Except maybe on the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, where they're
exactly.
But other than that, just no. And if I may bring up some old news here and remind us as to why we had to sweat late last week into the weekend, I have two words for that. Cal Cunningham.
Yeah.
If Democrats had one more seat,
yeah,
instead of Tom Tillis, and it was Cal Cunningham who, was thinking with his dick, and he would have won that election in North Carolina in the Senate, it would have been 51-49. It wouldn't have been it would have been a one greater vote margin.
And we probably would have gotten the minimum wage in there. Probably would have gotten that hiked.
It would have, things would have changed. I'm just, beating a dead horse here because we are pretty good at doing that, don't you think?
Well, we're about the best. I'd have to say of all the things that we're good at, we may be best at that. But yeah. I mean, you can't bitch and moan and complain. You got to kind of just move on. Cal Cunningham fucked up.
No, it's just a mention. It's not. I'm not obsessing over it. It's just
thankfully, Stacey Abrams saved the day in Georgia, and we got what we needed. And God bless us, we're in a better spot because of it. And we kind of move on. We got a couple of excellent candidates when that Burr seat comes open in a couple of years, and then we'll try to do the best we can with that and hope that if there's a guy there, he can keep it zipped. And if it's a woman who's running, that she'll win, and maybe we're not as misogynist as we think here in North Carolina. So these are things we have to look forward to. You're bringing up a very sore subject. I don't like you going back in the past on this. You're starting it was awful last year when Cal Cunningham had his little romp in the hay and fucked everything up over a completely awful Senate candidate who was ripe for the picking. Jesus. God, Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis was dreadful. It is dreadful.
No, he wasn't. He is. He's not past tense. He's still got the gig.
Jeez, that makes me so. Oh, you're bringing up some bad. Now, are you down with all of the hand wringing that seems to be going on among the Fox News crowd and among conservatives? Why isn't Joe Biden having more press conferences? Why is he ducking? Have you seen this as a meme, as a thing that's going around?
Okay, wait. Objectively, they're totally right. He should be holding more press conferences. He should hold the big formal press conference in the East Room, that we're used to. But you know what? On balance, it just doesn't matter. It truly just doesn't matter. Because we just got done with 4 years of a guy who couldn't shut his goddamn mouth, who every morning would stand there with the helicopter blades whirling, and he'd take question after question after question, and he'd lie, and he'd intimidate, and he'd insult. And how many formal press conferences did Donald Trump hold while he was president, the kind that they're clamoring for, the real formal kind? The answer is not very many.
No.
Maybe two. And I don't count those ones even in the Rose Garden last year during the coronavirus thing when he would, everybody was sitting far apart. You could barely hear. It was very stilted. It was bad. But I'll tell you why Joe Biden isn't having press conferences. You know why? Because he's going to suck at it, and because he's going to gaffe, and they're going to trap him, and he's going to sound like an idiot, and they're going to put the headline in 25th Amendment for. We know that. We know he is not quick on his feet anymore in terms of being able to think as fast to completely confrontational, obnoxious questions, which there will be, which every president should have to answer. But he's decided that the downside of not putting himself in that position every week, okay, the downside of being criticized for not holding those is not as bad as it would be as if he did this and was shown to be a 78-year-old man who has all of his faculties about him, but does not speak as clearly or as articulately as he did when he was 50, which we know, which is what would happen. And then they would play video of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You know that's the reason. They can't say that. We can say it here. Why?
Because we're on a podcast. That's exactly
that's the truth. But you know what? I don't care. I didn't vote for the guy who would hold the most entertaining press conferences. I voted for the guy who would get shit done. And I'll take Joe Biden getting the coronavirus response and getting vaccine production going at true warp speed and getting sites set up all over the country and fixing the ability for people to register and get it done competently and having decent people in all of the important positions in government. I think that's way more important than having some fucking guy in my face 24/7 on Twitter up my ass and on my TV 12 hours a day. It just doesn't matter. But they have to have something to bitch about. And so there you go. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because, of course, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Should he hold more formal press conferences? Yes. And if he doesn't, do I care? Am I going to decide in 4 years if he runs for re-election? Well, I was going to vote for him, but he didn't hold enough press conferences. What
counts? What counts is what happened on Saturday, and we're going to get the stimulus checks. People are getting vaccinated because they came in January with zero plan from the Trump administration on helping to do it. So that's getting done, and the economy is getting better, and they're adding jobs. That's what matters. Nobody's going to go in 2020. If he runs in 2024, they're not going to go, geez, I got to see if he holds more than 20 press conferences, I'm definitely voting for him.
Yeah. What's the over-under on that?
Yeah. So according to the University of California at Santa Barbara, which apparently keeps the statistics on this, in 2017, 2018, and 2019, those 3 years, a total of 9 news conferences held by Donald John Trump. A total of 9 in 2017, 2018, and 2019. His first year in office, 2017, he held 1. So if Biden can just do better than 1, Brad, 1, and he's been in office, according to their statistics, 0.08 of 1 year. That's 8/100ths of 1 year. And he hasn't done a news conference. So there you go. Those are your statistics. Donald Trump, year 1 news conference. Joe Biden so far 8/100ths of a year, 0 press conferences. Yes, I am totally ashamed, and I have buyer's remorse. You got me, Fox. Jesus, you have to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's not a thing. They have to have something to complain about. I understand that. And Lachlan Murdoch last week on video flat out said, man, we're digging it now. We get to be the opposition again. our ratings are going to go back up because we're going to get to attack a president again. Everything's going to be fine. Relax. And he's explicitly saying it. He said, well, MSNBC was that for 4. No, MSNBC did not say we are the opposition party. We are the opposition channel. And we will spend all of our time tearing apart everything that that is not our mission. Okay. You can't help it that telling the truth turned out to be such a horrible thing for Trump and for Republicans. Remember, telling the truth gets you in trouble. You get fired from the Trump administration. Your career is over. If you lie for him, then you're golden. Absolutely. So how do you report that if you're not Fox News? Any other reporting of that puts you on the complete other side of them. And if you want to call the rest of the world the opposition to Donald Trump for 4 years for telling the facts, for telling the truth, and by the way, it doesn't matter how many times, how many ways you see it written in articles, dropped in as an aside comment, they continue. The Trump world, the Trump media, they continue to say that Donald Trump was completely exonerated from any connection with conspiring with Russia to win in 2016. The Mueller report exonerated him all the way. They say that over and over and over again, all the time, as if it's a fact. Okay. And, this is what happens in history. It gets fuzzed up.
Mm-hmm.
And if the rest of us don't stay on the beam here and completely correct the record and know Robert Mueller did not say that Donald Trump was exonerated, Donald Trump was fully, completely not connected and did not collude with the Russians, because the word collusion doesn't exist in legal work. We go through all this, but this is what they're doing. We can't only imagine what it would have been like for Fox News to have existed in 1865, 1866.
Oh my God, yes.
So if you think, remember, it took them about 14 years to undo Reconstruction. Well, there would have never been Reconstruction had there been Fox News after the Civil War. They would have never gotten off the ground. There probably would have been no 14th Amendment. We are subject to what the Murdochs are doing and their allies in the right-wing press in re-evaluating, reconstituting, and starting to lie over and over and over again about what happened the past 4 years. And of course, we don't have to talk about any of that stuff. We can just talk about the fact that they are going to continue to pretend that January 6th never happened. It was like you missed the bus that day. It was a bad day in Washington. I missed the bus. That's about all that happened on January 6th. And then I caught another bus.
We always go through this.
That's what they're doing.
We always go through this thing when there's like a huge, like a traumatic event that happens to the country. And, as we're going to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the attack on America in September, we always we just never really kind of deal with that event and kind of push it down. I don't know if that's part of the American psyche. And what we suffered on January the 6th was a traumatic event. And I don't know that we've really dealt with it per se. We're still in the opening stages of kind of going through that. Don't you think?
I don't even think we're in the bottom of the first inning.
Yeah.
Because since we were last doing this Brad and Brittcast, you had this guy who did work in the State Department arrested.
Yeah.
And you have a connection to General Flynn's brother.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So you got to know that the FBI, assuming that there are enough honest members of the FBI, and I think there are.
I believe there are
not the actual connections, the phone connections between the people who rioted, the leaders of the couple hundred people who rioted, and members of Congress or members of their staff, it's going to be there. It's already starting to come out that way. And I may have said this last week. I think it's worth saying again. I think their attitudes publicly, the Republicans, are fully in line with what people who are scared shitless that they are going to be exposed for being part and parcel, and if not part of the actual planning, certainly they will be exposed as having not said, don't do this, stay away. The duty of a person in Congress on this issue, it's not tough to figure out. You're not supposed to give aid and comfort to people who say,
Right.
Just like you, we know that Trump won the election, and we're going to be paying you a visit this afternoon at 3:00 while you're trying to illegally install Joe Biden. Is that okay? And if you're a member of Congress, you better not respond in anything other than I'm going to have you arrested. You got nothing. And I think that there's a lot of versions of what I said.
Yeah, I think there are
different gradations, but I think it's there. And as you know, you can't get rid of a tweet. You can't get rid of a text message if law enforcement wants to get a hold of it, and they get cooperation. You'll notice you're not hearing about any of the cell carriers resisting helping law enforcement this time around. Notice that?
I know.
Because during terrorist incidents like that one, I think out in California, remember that they found the phone of the guy who they couldn't crack the phone. They couldn't get into it. And Apple said, "Oh, we're not going to help." You're not hearing any of that this time, are you?
No, you're not.
You're
and
not.
I know,
So,
I know Josh Hawley, who we mentioned previously. I think he's a little concerned about the data collection from cell phones, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's ahead here, and the revisionist history. And by the way, this is going to come up later in the year when we get to September 11th. Are we going to see any our regular networks, our cable networks? Are they going to show airplanes flying into buildings, or are we now to the point where that's just not showable anymore?
Right.
In other words, because we have a whole generation of people that have been born since then.
It's 20 years.
Remember, right? You're born that year. You're now 20, and you may have never seen the video of what it looked like on September 11th.
Think of what's changed in the last 20 years. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. There was no iPhone. There was no. I mean, I don't even know. Was Google a search engine back in 2001? I don't even know if Google was a search engine in 2001. People were still using AOL to get on the internet in 2001. I mean, it was a much different time. You're absolutely right. We can't just rely on planes flew into the building as a description. You have to see what happened to this country. You have to see what happened to all of us on that day. And I don't know.
It may get homogenized down to what happened on September 11, 2001. Something ran into something somewhere, and some people died.
Exactly.
You can homogenize it down to nothingness if you choose. But 2 months after September 11th, the country was transfixed. It was raw. Changes were being made everywhere. We changed the way airline security was handled, and to this day, we live under those changes. Right? You will never. People under a certain age have no idea what it's like to go to an airport and walk to the gate and meet grandma and grandpa getting off the plane. That just doesn't exist. They've never known anything about it. And that's too bad, but we're not going to go back to that. But here we are after what happened January 6th. And wow, you want to talk about record time warp speed trying to bury it.
Yeah.
We have a large section of the country that believes that the big problem of January 6th, the biggest thing that went wrong on January 6th was the Capitol Police didn't stop it. They think that's the only thing that matters, right?
That's it.
Right. And
the people who supposedly support law enforcement are blaming the cops. I love that.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right. So I guess it's up to the rest of us to just, keep on keeping on here
Yeah.
over these issues and not let them flood the zone with bullshit.
There's a lot of
I don't know
nonsense
how
out
else
there.
it's coming.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of nonsense out there. It really is.
And
But
by the way, this is coming from two guys who interview a fake impression of a dead guy from hell for the first 20 minutes of their podcast. I mean,
there you
can
go.
believe us.
That's right.
We wouldn't lie to you, but
Oh,
we really wouldn't. So anyway, have we done enough damage for today?
that's all I got for a Monday. That's all I can cash in.
Yeah.
I'll go see how badly Joe Biden has driven these gas prices up again. Damn it.